Hi everyone, this is Lada from Astrolada.com, and this is your weekly forecast for the 20th to the 27th of March with me. And this is such an important week. Why is that? Because it is the spring equinox or the autumn equinox for the southern hemisphere. And this, according to ancient astrology and according to all pagan and esoteric traditions of the past, is the time of the year when all the trends for the next 12 months are set. This is the time the sun moves into the tropical sign of Aries, which is the start of the zodiac. So it's about new beginnings, guys. And actually, we're going to look at the chart for that day and see how, in particular, the states is going to be affected. I'll go very quickly over it, but this is time for starting new beginnings and such an important week. We're going to talk about this solar equinox. The equinox, we're going to talk about also how the planets are situated. We're going to talk about the transits that are happening. And another important astrological event this week is that it is the inferior conjunction of Venus and the Sun, which means Venus starts a new cycle, which means new cycle in how we make relationships, like a renewal of our values and our attitudes towards relationships, which will continue for a long period ahead. So let's delve into those astrological topics. And by the way, the sun is going into Aries, ingress Aries, on the 20th of March, and I think that's on Monday. I think, yeah, is it 20th of March? Should be Monday. Yeah, the 20th is on Monday, basically. Speaking about that, on the 14th of May, I'm doing a all about Aries webinar. And we're going to talk about what it is to have different planets in Aries, whether it's Uranus or the Sun or Venus. And we're going to talk about what it is to have Aries on the ascendant, on the second house, on the third house. We're going to talk about the life themes of Aries. Do you know, for example, that Aries are much more likely, people that have Aries ascendant or Sun or Moon are much more likely, for example, to benefit through partners. And we're going to talk why this is so. Financially to benefit through partners. And they're much more likely to have some self-destructive influences, tendencies as well. Or they're much more likely to be in crisis, to create constant crisis and transformations in their life. And we're going to see why, because we're going to look at all the different houses of Aries, their love life, their relationships, their career. What are the certain themes that underline the lives of all Aries? And this will be 3 or 4 hours webinar. And if you want to come and join me, you can get to the link. And so 14th of May, we have enough time, and we're going to do all the 12 signs. And if you want to have all the 12 signs, you can just get them for $200. So you can buy just whichever sign you are interested in. But if you get all the 12 sign webinars over 6 months, it will be just $200. Anyway, I just wanted to announce this before the solar solstice equinox, because it's new beginnings and I'm starting this new chapter, astrology for beginners. From the scratch, we're going to look at this sign Aries and all the other signs from a ancient astrology point of view, from Western, from modern, from Babylonian, Greek. We're going to explore everything. You've never had so much information about each sign, and I don't think it exists as a course anyway. Okay, so what's happening? Aries. So many planets will be in Aries from Monday. The sun joins, this is Aries, and the sun comes and joins Venus and Mercury in Aries as well. So we're getting up this bubbling up of energy, and Aries is very masculine, very excitable energy. And Aries, we can start feeling like more awake and more driven and more excited, and it's like a new birth. Aries rules births, and Aries rules new beginnings. And Aries rules breakthroughs, just like Aries is when the flower or when the seed breaks through and shows itself on the surface of the what's that called? Of the dirt. So it's like the first new impulse of life. And people that are in tune are gonna start feeling this already from Monday. But I would not advise you to start totally new beginnings from Monday. I would advise you to visualize it. I would advise you to write a list of what you want to grow in your life over the next 6 months, for example, over the next till the spring, till the autumn equinox, or over the next 1 year, what qualities, whether it's strength, whether it's self-assertion, whether it's initiativeness, or whether it's compassion. Write this down, contemplate them during this special moment. But the starting of new beginnings, it's best to be waited for until the sun and the moon, the new conjunction sun conjunct moon in Aries. This is how the ancient people did it. After the new moon in Aries, we want both the father and the mother to go into the sign of new beginnings in order to fertilize it. And in order for us, and we want the moon to start becoming visible, which is from the week after that. When the moon becomes visible for the first time after the new moon in Aries, this is when we start acting on those new ideas. But the impulse, the freshness, the excitability starts coming from this Monday. But still, if you want to start something totally new, don't do it still this week, because the moon is decreasing, is becoming smaller, and moon is material manifestation, and still wrapping up some things. And then it comes and joins the sun in Aries on the 28th of March. I think it's next week after that. And 2 days after that, it becomes visible. So towards Wednesday, the week after, is when the moon, which rules material manifestation and tangible stuff, starts becoming visible, and you can start growing the things. You can start seeing visibly and manifesting materially the things, the new things you want in your life. To then contemplate them, focus on them, feel the excitement, feel the energy of the sun being in Aries, which will last for about 30 days. And another thing that is important is that we have quite a few planets in fire. We have Saturn in fire. Saturn is in Sagittarius this week. The sun is joining there, Venus and Mercury. So the fiery energy of initiative and excitability and inspiration, fire rules inspiration, is around us, guys. And this inspiration is tempered with a good aspect from Saturn to those other planets. And Saturn is realistic, so it's not some kind of flighty imagination without any realistic grounding, but it's excitability and inspiration that has realistic and tangible possibility to be achieved as well. And we also have Jupiter in a masculine sign. So we have most of the planets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in masculine signs. And just Mars, of the traditional planets, is in a feminine sign, which is telling us that the energy picks up this week. It's telling us that till now the sun was in Pisces, and from Monday it goes in Aries. You know, this flow, this vitalization that starts happening, especially Aries or fire signs will start feeling it a lot, like, you know, Leos and Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people. But everyone, it's when the planets in masculine signs, they feel like this more initiative, this more excitable, this more ready to take on the world as well. Intuition, but like spontaneous intuition, getting answers in the flow of the moment. It's not some kind of a sensitivity feeling, presentiments. No, the intuition of fire signs is like, bam, you know it. You don't know how you know it. You just know it, and you're quite certain and quite, like, you know, fiery about it. And so it is, especially people that have a lot of masculine energy in their horoscope will enjoy this week energy, because their energy starts picking up as well, and they chime easier with masculine signs, and this kind of spurting forward of extrovert energy. Maybe people that are too, that have more feminine energy, that are more introverted, can feel like the feminine signs, they might feel maybe a bit more overwhelmed with this new flow of energy. But we have some grounding influence, because Mars rules all those planets in Aries. Mars rules Aries. So Mars, the planet that rules this conjunction here, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, will be directing the energies of those impulsive planets in Aries. The Sun, Venus, and Mercury, those impulsive Aries energies, are controlled through Mars, the planet that rules Aries. And Mars is in a very grounded place, is in Taurus, is in a very practical, realistic place in Taurus. So this spurt of energy that's coming, we're channeling it, and this new excitable ideas that come to us. And by the way, on the 20th is sets the trends for the next 12 months for many of us, for the whole world, which is telling us that, yes, new ideas comes, new excitabilities, but they're tempered and they're channeled through activity which is practical, which is realistic, which is grounded in material manifestations, which is grounded in material attainments of some sort. So this excitability and new ideas will be channeled into achieving material success. You can feel it this week already, or into stabilizing your resources, or into achieving some more financial security or security of any sort. And you'll be like actively pursuing, which is Mars action, actively pursuing to channelize all this new impulse of Aries and this new moon, and the solar solstice, new beginnings, new imprint, to channel it into productive, practical matters, and that's for the whole year, for the next whole, for the whole world, basically, will be under this influence as well. And I just wanted to quickly show you the chart of America very quickly, of the states for the ingress of, just a second, for the ingress of the chart. I don't know if you see my screen now, but this is the English chart. English chart means the moment the sun enters 0 degrees Aries, you see 0, 0, 0. What's happening in Washington, which is the capital of the USA. So it's going to show what are the main themes that are going to be happening in the USA. I'm not a mundane astrologer, which means that I haven't done predictive I haven't studied, which is 5 to 6 years studying prediction of world events, but very quickly, just with my basic knowledge of personal astrology, I can see that for America, for the states, and such chart can be erected for every single country, but it will be different for every single country because the location will be different. There'll be different planets rising, but because I'm in the States, I'll quickly give you an outlook what this means. And we see that Neptune is rising here on this chart, which means that so much of this for the next 12 months, the themes that will be important for America and for the States, basically, will be very Neptunian, which means great importance. Neptune rule oil and petrol. So maybe there will be, a very powerful, and there is the South Node there as well. The South Node tends to weaken whatever planet it is with. And big pharma is ruled also by Neptune. Oil companies, Neptune rules oils and pharmacological and anything to do with any kind of poisons of any sort as well. And drugs as well. So maybe also drug epidemics will be very much on the consciousness of people. And Neptune also rules bacterial epidemics, I've read, so it might be something around, but mostly oil companies, petrol companies, pharmaceutical companies that will be at the forefront. They'll be pushing their agenda, and there'll be a lot of Neptune is a planet of illusions and a lot of spin, and spin in the sense things being presented not as they are, and a lot of conspiracy going around, like more like gossip and fake news that are spinning around, and it will be very hard for people to figure out what is the true news and what is not the true news. Neptune really washes the borders away of reality and what is true and what is not true, and it's much easier for someone to pull the wool over our eyes and for us to get kind of drawn into any kind of secretive, mysterious beliefs and over-exaggerate and high expectations, for example, but the bubble might be burst because Neptune is like mist, like fog. So big focus, and also Neptune rules water and the oceans. There might be a big theme this year, and it's in Pisces. So basically, maybe oil spills can become a great focus for the next 12 months. Also, anything to do with the oceans, the waters in the USA, the water shortages, so water concerns can become of primary importance, and petrol companies and drug companies as well. But also we see that the moon and Saturn are very much conjunct on the same degree on that day, on the 20th of March, for the exactly when the sun enters in the 10th house of government, which means that government will be ruling in a very strict conservative way. It will go back to old rules or old values, because Saturn rules the old, the tested, the traditional. Saturn rules conservatives, the conservative party. What is here? Here, the Conservative Party is the Republicans, isn't it? and they're ruling with a still hand, and they bring in a lot of more outdated ideas. But some people like that, some people don't like that, some people like more strictness, others don't. But you see, the moon rules the people according to mundane astrology, so the people might feel more oppressed in some sort because Saturn is exactly conjunct the moon, and they might feel more restricted because Saturn is about restriction, and it's in the 10th house of government, so there might be more control over the people overall, from the government. And it's hard to do other predictions if I haven't studied that. But I just saw Neptune here, wanted to talk about it, and I saw Saturn and the moon there, and I wanted to talk about it. And I saw Uranus conjunct the second house cusp, which is finance, the financial institutions and money of a country. And there is lots of planets in Aries, which falls in the second sign. So there will be so much focus on money and resources this year. And Uranus can turn around in a big way resources and finances and savings and security. Can, things are unpredictable. Uranus is the most unpredictable planet, and there will be new opportunities because look, Jupiter is also affecting it. There will be new opportunities to make money out of totally new investments or areas, but not old type of investments, not old school, not all type of financial investments or anything that used to be secure till now, like maybe properties always tends to be secure and stuff like that. But something more, people are wiser to invest in more untraditional areas rather than expect to receive security from stable, long established sources of financial security. I just quickly wanted to pay attention to this to you guys. And how do I stop? So you see it, but let's talk now about on a personal level what it means. Okay, what else? Let me just scrap this and let's go through the week, the next big event that is happening for this week. So I told you, if you're going to be starting totally new activities, wait till the week after that, but you're going to start feeling this exuberation, this excitement growing, more initiativeness, maybe start preparations because we're ready to birth new energy there. But the most important other event is that Venus, the planet of love, remember it's retrograde, is moving backwards. Actually, it's the other way around. Venus is here and it's moving backwards, and it's gonna come and join the sun on the 25th of March. By the way, let me see if you see it here. It's called inferior conjunction, and that's when the new cycle, and Venus is retrograde, it means it's moving backwards while the sun is moving forwards. And on the 25th of March, this is when they both join, and that's like the new beginning for Venus, a new cycle of 19 months or 500 and something days, and it's like rebirth of Venus. And that's a very special moment. All ancient cultures speak about that period. This is when Venus goes to the underground and is hanged for, it's totally divested from its clothes. It's, according to mythology, Venus is the goddess, goes to the underworld because it's invisible. It's so close to the sun, we don't see it. So we say it goes into the underworld. It's not visible. And Venus dies there. What do we do in the underworld? Well, we die there to be reborn again. And Venus is left hanging for 3 days naked on a hook, And this kind of symbolizes that the period around this time when the inferior conjunction of Venus is when we take when we really reevaluate. We're left kind of like a hanging man, the card, when it comes to Venusian matters of relationships, of matters of the heart, of matters of what you consider valuable, of matters of money and resources, but mostly relationships and mostly beauty and how you give and receive love. Such matters are kind of like hanged in the underworld. They old values die, and we're almost like in a still spot reconsidering what are the new values, that the old is dying and the new is being reborn, and it feels like we're in suspense, like we're hanged by a hook, just like in the mythology of Venus. And after that, from after the 25th of March onwards, Venus will be on this side of the sun all of a sudden. For the past half of 1.5 year period, what would that be? That would be like 8 months, no, something like that. No, more than 9 months. Venus has been on this side of the sun, which means it was an evening star. You could see it in the evening. And then after 25th of March, and within 8 days, it will become visible again after the 25th of March. But the day its new cycle starts, when it dies, and when it starts getting, when it's kind of, when new Venus is conceived, is on the 25th of March. This is the conception of the new values, the new relationship patterns that we're going to be doing, the new attitudes in love we're going to have, what we consider valuable. And the birth of Venus will come the moment Venus becomes visible, which is usually about 8 days after the 25th of March. And that will be, just like now is the conception on the 25th of March, we have about a week where it's gestating, and it's gestating, those new values are starting to form in our head, and we're starting to see relationship from a different point of view, and we're starting to see, to value things there might be some crisis situation. Venus is invisible, it's sacrificed by the sun burns it, you know, and Venus goes to the underground, and it sacrifices, and it's stripped of its clothes. So what it means, we're stripped of our old feelings, we're stripped of our old build up upon the last couple of years, or 19 months, illusions about relationships, illusions about love, or ideas, or outdated relationships. We might be stripped from them, and this might be a critical period of about 8 to 10 days, you know, during this. So basically this week and next week, this week and the first week of April approximately, we might be, big realizations can happen in your life in regards to relationships, and very likely you won't first take the steps yet. Maybe you'll start taking the steps when Venus is born and becomes visible within 10 days after that, but you'll be like, something shifts in regards to all those things. And I can give you many examples. I remember periods after the inferior conjunction of Venus where I would totally like start on a new relationship cycle, and it's so consistent, especially if you have something in Aries, because that's where the retrograde is happening. But for everyone, when Venus goes, starts its new cycle from the 25th of March for the next this is the new moon phase of Venus, basically, when it's inseminated by the sun. The sun is the masculine, the sun is the purifier, the sun is the one that burns away the old. And we sacrifice, because what do we do with the sun and fire? We sacrifice to it. We sacrifice the old beliefs. So they can be like a sacrificial cleansing, metaphorically speaking, of old relationships, of old beliefs about relationships, about old patterns in relationships as well. And kind of even awakening that starts happening for you, and you're thinking, okay, I'm no longer going to do relationships like that. Just like I keep giving the example that happened with me after the Venus inferior conjunction a few years ago, 8 years ago, after years of not of relationships where I would always be the one going for the wrong type of people. I had like a realization and a great disappointment around the inferior conjunction of someone who called. I thought he was with me, and find out he was going out with a friend of mine, and I was so disappointed. And I was there was such a realization, and all of a sudden my energy shifted, and I shifted my desire from one type of relationship to totally different one. And it followed the 8-year cycle of Venus after that. That was, in a sense, healing of old negative patterns. So what I'm saying is that for everyone, this is an opportunity now to heal after the 25th of March, to have some realizations and new beginnings in their relationships. It doesn't mean that all relationships will end, but they can be taken to the next level. They can be approached in a different way. And also the ancients say that when Venus becomes Oriental, which means from after the 25th of March, for about 9 months, Venus will be coming before the sun. So it will be rising in the morning. You don't see Venus at night. You'll be seeing Venus only in the morning for the next 9 months. And they say, and especially the initial stages, the first kind of a month of this period or two, Venus is so excitable when it becomes Oriental, and then it becomes more about the self. While it's Occidental, which means it's evening star, we're kind of on a concluding phase. We make more compromises with others. We integrate experiences of relationship, love, and different values that we've acquired months and months before that. We integrate them and we start dissolving them and removing them. The moment Venus starts this new cycle, we become more impulsive emotionally. We become more excitable emotionally for quite a few months ahead. And we start having new adventures and new experiences in love, in beauty, in art, women become more daring as well, because Venus becomes more masculine when it's a morning star. It was called Lucifer, by the way. When Venus is a morning star, it was called Lucifer. And what did Lucifer do? He rebelled against God. And he brought, knowledge to the world, and he rebelled, he was resplendent. And basically people become more rebelliant, more experimental with their feelings. They become more willing to take risks and to start new things in relationships after that for many months, But there is this shaking off of the old that starts gradually happening after the 25th. Shaking up of old scruples in relationships, all considerations. And Venus becomes a bit more selfish when it becomes morning star as well, which means you start thinking more about what it is I want. Till now, for quite a few months, Venus was before the sun, so it was about what is it, how do I do that my needs do not violate, or that respect the needs of others, of partners, reassessing relationships, looking at them, taking into consideration the feelings of others. Venus is more toned down when it's an evening star. The moment it becomes on the other side of the sun after the 25th of March, it becomes more impulsive, and it becomes more, and which we need sometimes. Our values and reassessing of relationships shouldn't always be about, and actually ancient said, like, people do make more crazy decisions than around that time. But people born during that phase of Venus, they tend to be more of rebels. Courtney Love is born during that phase of Venus while still moving retrograde, but comes before the sun. So kind of the feminine energy becomes more Courtney Love-ish. I mean, like, just telling you that's probably enough for you to understand. More impulsive, more driven, more kind of, I'll do what I want, I do my things, and I'll be a innovator in regards to love, to art, to such things. But we need it. I guess it's part of the cycle, and the impulsiveness that it brings as well. It's something that we need to shake up the old, and it's easier when Venus comes on this side of the sun from the 25th of March onwards. Nostalgia for past relationship goes away. It's perfect to cut cords for past relationships. Say you still haven't overcome the passing of a partner 10 years ago. Say you still haven't, someone hurt you 5 years ago, or you broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend 7 months ago, and you're still hanging on the lingering, still missing them. The moment Venus comes on this side of the sun, guys, after 25th, this is when you can cut cords. This is when the universe helps you to move forward and to start this new cycle and to release yourself from the past. And you're probably going to have about 8-10 days when this is very intense. So yeah, interesting. In regards to relationship, big changes can be happening there. I hope you're finding this interesting information and what it means, and you'll be divested from all beliefs, and it might feel like a death and rebirth of your relationships, and possibly you start seeing the results of those new values and those new outlooks on your relationships when Venus starts moving direct, or when it becomes visible, so towards April. But now is the pivotal moment, and if you want to set new intentions for your relationships and love, do it on the 25th of March during Venus conjunct Sun, the new cycle of Venus, and do it, set those intentions, it's so they can grow over the next 19 months, whatever those intentions are, especially if you want to clean something from the past and allow something to grow. And now let's look very quickly at the rest of the week, what it is promising for us. Okay, 111. Hey, that's lucky. Seems like a lucky week. I've been seeing those numbers probably 5 to 10 times a day, every day, repeating numbers. You know what it is? It means you're in the flow, guys. We're in the flow. This week is in the flow. So let's see. It starts this week, on the 20th with Sun coming into Aries, and we spoke about that, what it means. And then there are no aspects till around the 24th, till Friday approximately, but you can feel it from Wednesday and Thursday already, and into Saturday and Sunday as well, because Mercury, basically the end of the week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mercury is making lots of aspects, and most of them are too excitable. Mercury is in Aries. This is the planet of communication, but they're very fast transits, but still, let's see what it means. So Mercury first will square Pluto. Square is the 90-degree difficult aspect here. And then Mercury is also making an opposition to Jupiter in Libra. And Mercury is conjunct Uranus. That happens one day after another, from the 24th, 25th, 26th. I would even say from Thursday till the end of the week, we're having Mercury making those very explosive, connecting with those very explosive planets. But Mercury is the mind, and mind is very adaptable and likes to be stimulated. And Mercury first making Pluto square with Pluto, maybe around Thursday, Friday. Be careful that there might be some confrontations with others. They're more subtle, more manipulative. It's more, it's more easy to impact others and to influence others to impact you, especially authority figures, because Pluto is in Capricorn, or people with more experience, or some bosses or parents. There can be some power struggles with such people, especially if you're expressing more innovative, excitable ideas, new ideas, that they can clash with such more established authority figures. Or if you're expressing communication that is too impulsive, this can, lead to some power struggles. But at the same time, it makes your mind a little bit more suspicious in a sense, and untrustworthy, and willing to, but it's a great aspect to investigate. Even the difficult aspect, bury yourself in something, dig deep for facts, maybe especially investigating some new idea. If you have areas about new things, new ideas, new initiatives, dig deep and investigate, and that can be great for you. And I've here written in my calendar, Mercury square Pluto. It can lead sometimes to mentally obsessive thoughts. So towards the end of the week, if you start feeling, or this week start feeling more like thoughts on a loop, but it's like 1 or 2 days influence only. And one can interact, as I said, interactions with others can lead to some power struggles. Secret or private information can come to the surface, guys. That's another impact of this transit. Good for investigating, research, and psychological analysis. You can have some very penetrating realizations suddenly, and you're like, oh my God, yeah. And it's good for studying secrets, mysteries, taboo topics, conspiracies of any sort. But when it comes to work in groups, because Mercury rules communication and being able to kind of align your thought processes with others and communicate clearly, there might be something secretive that stays there. There might be something more power struggles in group work, and it might be there might be some intense conversations that are happening. And Mercury is also making opposition to Jupiter at the same time, and it's kind of and especially the cardinal signs feel that. People that are Aries, that are Libra, that are Capricorn, that are Cancer as well, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, they feel this. And Mercury is strongly stimulated by the opposition with Jupiter. So again, you can say words that are too grand, too big, that things that you can't keep as a promise. You can over promise sometimes, basically. Can exaggerate or overestimate, because Mercury is discriminative thought. Being able to look at something and logically think, is that viable or no? Is that efficient? Is that practical or no? And Mercury and Jupiter, when it's in a difficult aspect with Mercury, can make you overestimate something or miss some details. So be careful about that. But at the same time, Pluto can create, this kind of a tension and a little bit of a power struggle. And you can, like, sometimes it can bring intellectual arrogance, or challenging your ideas and beliefs, others challenging your ideas and beliefs and you challenging theirs. But it's a very dynamic. So basically around Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you might feel overstimulated mentally, at moments suspicious, at moments overly optimistic. There might be some important things, because a tense aspect between planets tends to bring to the surface through some kind of tension, can stimulate new ideas. Some kind of tension and provocation from others can stimulate new ideas, can stimulate hopefully productive discussions which clear up certain secrets and certain overestimations of something. And then Mercury is also conjunct Uranus. So towards the end of the week, especially Aries will feel it, Gemini, Virgos that are ruled by Mercury will feel quite, Geminis and Virgos overall towards the end of the week will feel quite overstimulated and excitable with all those aspects that their planet is making. They can just have some tension, or they can transmute it to a higher level, and some provocations from the circumstances can make them much more much more initiative in some way, can kick them into action. Mercury is in Aries. And exciting new ideas and sudden realizations come for everyone when Mercury is conjunct Aries towards the end of the week. So if you have sudden intuitive insights, take them into considerations. They can be sudden. You can download information suddenly. Eureka moments, fantastic time for that. Happens maybe once or twice a year the most, that Mercury is conjunct Uranus. So sudden moments, Eureka, snap, snap, snap. Surprising, refreshing, and exciting new conversations can be happening. Meeting new people. Uranus is about new social environment. Finding a piece of missing information suddenly, And that's a great time towards the end of the week for social media. But again, remember, Mercury is still in the influence of the difficult aspect with Uranus and Pluto as well. So try not to start trolling or go into fights with others, because it's more likely. But it can be great and very stimulating and dynamic for work in social media, for any kind of marketing, information, or technology business, work with groups of people, promoting new ideas, sharing and presenting new plans. And it sounds like sparkling, excitable when you do it during Mercury-Uranus conjunction. Others will get much more excited about your new ideas. Uranus reaches to, can connect your ideas and your communications to a much wider audience, because Uranus rules groups of people. And new exciting contacts and social connections are likely. Increase information flow and communications as well. But just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, try not to fight with others. You might be in a more argumentative mode. You might be just either in the role of Pluto or in the role of Mercury. If you're the one trying to promote new ideas, you might do it too forcefully, that steps on other people's toes, or you might be the other people that are provoked with someone with what might sound like outrageous new ideas, and with that is challenging your status quo, or that is threatening your kind of Capricornian, Plutonian control and security, or your balance and sense of equilibrium, Jupiter and Libra there. So guys, that's overall for the week. I hope you're enjoying those a bit longer, hopefully not too long, weekly horoscopes. We're going deep into astrology, speaking about the secrets of astrology, not just making predictions for each sign, but explaining how astrology works. So next time this happens, you can understand like a clockwork, how astrology works and what it means. So thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Come and join me on the 14th of May on Sunday for all about Aries. If you want to get to the bottom of the mystery of the 12 signs, and to be honest, if you know in depth the 12 signs, you can just know someone's ascendant and you can tell them about their love, about their career, about their money, about the best strategy, how to, for example, someone with Aquarius ascendant, if they're too mercantile, because the second house is Pisces, this is not the way for them to make money. Actually, they can make money of more humanitarian and spiritual pursuits, or in less direct and more kind of spin way matter. So we're going to speak about each sign. What is the best strategy for them? And each month we're going to have 2 signs. In May we're going to do Aries, and then 2 weeks later Taurus. So it's, if you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in those signs, or if you want to really understand astrology in depth, and if you take this course, you can start making horoscopes after that, and you can start just looking, someone tells you the sign, and you can know so many things about them. And this is information that doesn't exist there. Very rarely I see it for people to look at this side of signs. They'll just give you like, oh, Aries, impulsive, Taurus, stable, but they don't go in depth. They don't tell you why Aries is more likely to have crisis in life or addictions, for example. They don't tell, because Aries rules the 8th house. The same planet that rules Aries also rules the 8th sign from Aries, which is about transformations, sudden reversals in life, and sudden breakdowns and addictions, but the ability to fight a battle. 8th house is the battleground. So we'll speak about those really interesting, really esoteric, in-depth, and technical side of the sign to understand why it derives those qualities. Thank you so much, guys. And I will see you next week. And tune in. We're going to make a ceremony on the new moon when Aries and the sun, basically the moon and the sun join together in the sign of new beginnings. We're going to make ceremonies. Maybe Magic Mike will do, maybe April will do, Candace, because this is the most powerful time of the year. The new lunation in Aries, starting already from the solar ingress, basically the solar equinox, but building up into the new moon in Aries. So thank you very much.